faces. Hello, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you all today. Love the hat, Kendra. I totally want one like that. I've got tons of questions. Jess, I knew Jess from Audiobook Worm.
Mm-hmm.
And then she sent an email saying, I'm starting this thing. It's called Audiobook Empire. And what pulled me in immediately from that, not only because you have a stellar reputation from Audiobook Worm. I mean, everyone knows about you. You know the biz. But the other thing was your style. Audiobook Empire is like, wow. I mean, there's it's like a great concept. There's a splashy website. You don't do things by half. It's not just another run-of-the-mill thing. You're like, kaboom, here I am world. So I want to hear your story because I hear you run 3 businesses. I want to hear what this mysterious third business is, you know, a bordello in Timbuktu or something completely. And I want to hear how you got the, okay, children friendly, which we usually aren't, but in an effort, how you get the, not the word I want to use, the nerve to start your first business and where it went from there. Tell us about you, Jess.
Well, I'm from North Carolina. When I started this several years ago, I was 28, and that's what it still says in all of my bios because I just don't have the heart to change it. I'm from Eastern North Carolina, born and raised. And how I got the nerves to start Audiobook Worm Promotions, gosh, I still wonder that. I really don't even know. It's just, I have this plaque on my wall in my living room that says, trust your crazy ideas. And I've had that plaque for like a dozen years now. And I don't know, I look at it for inspiration, and I guess seeing it every day kind of soaked into my subconscious so that whenever I had this crazy idea, and it wasn't, I didn't just wake up one day and be like, I want to promote audiobooks, you know, and eventually produce them. No, it started with me listening to audiobooks. I always say I'm a listener first.
What kind? What are your favorite ones that?
I'm such a nerd. I love sci-fi and fantasy. Like, you know what I just spent all weekend doing? You know, I told Daniela that I was kind of under the weather this weekend. So I just laid around and watched Star Trek all weekend. And it was glorious. So I really love sci-fi and fantasy. I'm actually not super, just on a personal basis, I'm not super into romance. That's not my thing. I'll promote anything. The Audiobook Worm Promotions is open to all genres, as is Audiobook Empire. But just, you know, just me, I end up laughing at romance for some reason. It just strikes me. I'm not inherently like a romantic person. So I don't know. Reading romance just feels awkward to me.
I just had a picture of you on a date.
Exactly, just like awkward giggles, and yeah, that's accurate.
So did you know anyone, or were you were a listener, and did you have any contacts in the field? Or, I mean, how do you start something like that from scratch?
Not at that time. I had a Goodreads account, and I did the Audible free trial. I imagine that's how a lot, if not the majority of listeners nowadays, you know, that was their entryway into the community. And I one day just woke up and wanted to start a blog because I was finding all these great audiobooks and I wanted to share my feelings about them, but nobody in my real life listens to audiobooks. Audiobooks were not on their radar before I jumped headfirst into this. So
I still get that in the UK. You know, when you start explaining to them and they're kind of nodding, and you know that they're not listening to you anymore. They're thinking about what they're going to make for their dinner.
Yeah, exactly. So they would humor me, but that was about it. So I wanted a platform where I could share my feelings and opinions, so many opinions. And that's how the blog came about. The Audiobook Worm was the first website. And it started as like a free WordPress blog. And then I was getting all sorts of review requests and trying to take all of these on. and just like getting so overwhelmed, and then thinking like, okay, there's a real opportunity here for something. I didn't really know what. So I started connecting with um, regular book bloggers because they were easier to find. When I first started out, and this was only like 5 years ago, there weren't many audiobook bloggers at all, maybe like a
Yeah.
handful. And I reached out to every single one of those that I could find. A couple of them I'm still in contact with. The rest have largely just, come and gone.
And
So
you
the
just, what
state,
did you say to them?
well, I just said, hi, I'm Jess. The same thing I said to you when I asked you to, join the Audiobook Empire Talent Legion. Hi, I'm Jess. This is what I'm doing. Do you want to connect? I've never really been, like, I am an introvert, I feel like, but I've never really been shy about just saying, hi, I'm Jess. This is my deal. What do
Yeah,
you
I
think?
don't think that qualifies you as an introvert.
Well, I used to not think that either, but I saw like a newer definition of it, and it's like, if you would rather spend time alone than with someone else, you're an introvert. 100% me. Me and the cats, Netflixing at home or listening to an audiobook. That's how I restore my balance. You and I were talking about balance a little bit.
Yeah.
And
We
how
totally need to go back into that as well in this
yeah,
call.
yeah, how to, because when you work from home, it's tough, right? Like to set hours, work hours for yourself, and to actually enforce them.
Yeah.
That's really tough. So that's something I'm still struggling with, but I think I'm getting better at it. That was like a big part of my New Year's resolution this year, because last year was just, well, crazy on so many levels. I felt like there were a lot more authors at home, away from their day jobs because of quarantine, and they thought, well, I'm just going to start promoting my audiobook while I have this time off. So I actually saw a surge in business last year, which
And
was so
money
fortunate.
wise, like how did you go from, and tell me if I get too personal, right? Because obviously I don't want to give away the secrets of your companies, but how did you go from I'm writing blogs talking about how much I love books, audiobooks, to I'm going to make money from this? How did you make that leap?
Okay, so as I got deeper and deeper into I'm sorry, my hair, it's at like a weird length right now. It's doing something weird. It's bothering
You
me.
look fabulous.
Um, as I got deeper and deeper into the book community and started reaching out to book bloggers, I saw that a lot of them were doing these things called book tours. And I really wanted to immerse myself into the community. I'm all about community, and that'll come up later when we get to Audiobook Empire, because that everything I do is not a me thing, it's a we thing. It's built to be a we thing, even if it just starts out as a me thing. And everybody that I saw was doing book blog tours and things, virtual blog tours, and I thought, well, I have a blog, maybe this is something. I tried doing challenges, book challenges. I was terrible at those. But then I realized that they were all for traditional books. All the tours were for traditional books. So I actually emailed a few of the tour organizers.
Can you explain more about tours to me? Because I should pay attention to it. I think I've been on one and I probably didn't do my share because I don't really get the concept.
Okay, well, let's relate it to something that you're probably more familiar with, an actual book tour. Like say Stephen King, right? Like the master of horror or whatever. He has a new book. I actually don't even know if he does this. This might not be an accurate example, but he has a new book, and he wants to go on a book tour, to different signings. You go from bookstore to bookstore, doing these little signings. Might go to a convention, all these different stops along the tour, right? Like maybe across the country, across the world. Well, that's costly and very hard to organize. And you have to have a lot of support to put something like that together, usually from a traditional publisher. And, here I am working predominantly with indie authors. they don't have that kind of support. Most of them don't have that kind of money or time or anything like that. So a blog tour, or now I'm transitioning into calling it just like a virtual tour.
Did you solicit them? Did you have to solicit them, or because of your blog, did they come to you?
Word spread like wildfire, and that's been true about everything that I've done. And that tells you how needed things like this are in our community, you know, because like I said, there were dozens and dozens of book tour companies, but nobody was doing it just for audiobooks.
Yeah, you're the first one I heard about.
I was the first one.
When I was way young.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, a virtual tour is just meant to mimic a physical book tour, but on the internet. So instead of going from bookstore to bookstore, you're going from blog to blog, or now it's, you know, we've expanded so that it's not just blogs, because I don't know, I've heard blogs are being phased out, like they're yesterday. Or
people don't have the attention span to read anymore. So now it's podcasts.
It's all sorts of different
and
things.
video.
So, yeah, that's why I'm trying to transition away from calling it a blog tour.
That's why we're showing our pretty faces today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to go with, you know, wherever the audience is at that time. But we host stops along the tour on different platforms like that. And that's at its core, that's what it is. That's the gist of it.
And just like the blogger on the blog read the audiobook that
they can, if they want to, if they have the time and they're interested in that particular book, they have the option to request a review copy. And those are usually sent out about a month in advance, so they have plenty of time to read and review. But a lot of our bloggers, you know, they do this as a hobby. They're volunteers, and their plates are pretty full. And I believe it because I remember when I was doing that, I would just be inundated with review requests every morning. It was crazy.
So I have a question. Sorry to keep interrupting. Were you raised by entrepreneurs? Because you obviously have the mindset of, oh, this is an idea, I'll just go do it. And I can make money this way. I really admire people like that. That's not a 9-to-5 mindset. Where do you think you got that from?
I don't know. My mom is a pediatric nurse and my dad was an elementary school teacher.
So 9-to-5.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I've never really been a traditional type of person. And I was in grad school on my way to a 9-to-5 job as a counselor when I started Audiobook Worm Promotions. And I'm telling you, it exploded so quickly that it didn't take long for me to realize this is a viable thing here. I hesitate to use the word career because that sounds really, 9-to-5-ish, but whatever this is, I was like, there's something here and I want to pursue this. This is where my heart and my passion is. And I actually dropped out of grad school. I had a month left before graduation.
What did your parents say?
I still remember.
Hi, Mom and Dad. I think I'm quitting grad school the last month because I want to write stories about audiobooks.
Yep. That's pretty much how it went. Like it wasn't a total surprise to them because I'm very close with my parents, so they knew what I was doing. I think the decision to quit a month before I graduated was probably shocking. And now that I look back on it, even just with 5 years, 5 years past that point, I look back and I'm like, oh, I probably should have stuck it out for another couple of months.
I have to say this, we can edit it out. You guys, if your children are listening, please put your hands over their ears. That took balls. I don't think I even would have had the nerve to do that. I would have at least finished the last month. But what you did was you told yourself and the universe, I know exactly where I'm going and what I'm doing, and I don't need a backup plan.
Yeah.
That is
unbelievable. I have parents that are supportive, and they said I was expecting that kind of reaction. Like, are you crazy?
You listen to your gut. People don't do that. People never do that. They tell us to.
Right.
But
Exactly.
wow.
And even though I wasn't raised by, entrepreneurial parents, I was raised by just incredible people who taught me to be this way, even if they themselves hadn't had those opportunities. Yeah, so I've always been. I don't want you to think I'm not cautious, because I am to a fault. I don't do something without
I'm sure
doing
you
the
are. I
research
mean, I'm
first.
I'm not, caution doesn't impress me very much anyways.
Well, there's also a great deal of anxiety that comes along with that. So, you
Yeah.
take one, you get the other.
How do,
But,
how do you deal with the anxiety?
gosh, day by day, I was hoping you could tell me how you deal with things like that. Give me some tips. I need them, please. Um,
Do you still feel
Actually,
anxious? I mean, because you've been doing this a while now, and or
yeah.
was the
Oh,
new business and Step Up another opportunity for extra anxiety?
yeah. So
How did you decide to do that?
I think I was getting too comfortable with,
You,
just promotion. I had that down pat. So let's throw something else in there. So actually, yeah, that's when my anxiety kicked up into full gear, because, there's a fine line between being nervous and being excited, right? And I live on that line.
so I actually do have advice for you. Don't know how good it is,
Okay.
but it's working for me. Um, I had a horrible, horrible, stressful time last year because I was overbooked a lot. And I kept thinking, what the heck is wrong with me? I have got to stop doing this. I can't put myself through this torture. And this Christmas, I had a week off because I did what everyone said to do. Give yourself some time off. So I worked really, really hard to catch up and clear the schedule, and I got sick. And coincidentally, I got these like 5 days off, and nobody was sending emails or anything because it was Christmas and they were doing that whole living your life and quality time and crap. And it was torture for me. I went into a tailspin, and I realized, and I made a deal with myself, and I'm quite good at keeping these, and I realized actually you want it. You're not accidentally overbooking yourself.
Hmm.
You like the challenge and the push and who you think you are when you don't have time off. And when you do have time off, you sit and think about like that horrible thing I said to my mother, the last time I saw her, and that boyfriend that, oh my God, what was I thinking? And why can't I get back on that diet? So the thing is, shut up. Just shut up.
Yes.
You've got to so now this year, I've done it again. I've overbooked myself and I want to die. You heard me almost go there the other day in the message. Oh my God, I'm so busy. How is the world doing this to me? I'm the only one that gets screwed up like this. And I told myself, you reframe it. Because what you said right there about the anxiety, you had all this anxiety, then you got comfortable, then your mind went searching for something to create the exact anxiety you were escaping. So maybe stop trying to fix yourself and stop looking at, oh God, here's the, because it's what you said, it's a thin line between anxiety and excitement. Maybe you're just taking on big challenges and you love being scared, like
Yeah.
going on a roller coaster. You put yourself on a roller coaster. It's like me. I told myself I'm overbooked, 3 books a day overbooked, and nothing had better happen. And if anyone gets sick, they're going to have to find their way to the hospital themselves because I got to finish these and I can't miss my deadlines. Overbooked. But now I'm not going, I'm going to die. Woe is me. Why have I done this? There's something wrong with me. Now I'm like, I'm excited because obviously this is my personality. You're jumping on the roller coaster. You are.
Yeah, I am.
Really? So maybe stop fighting the anxiety and realize that it's not anxiety. It's the flip in your stomach when you go on the scary ride and you're giving
Yeah,
it to yourself.
that adrenaline junkie.
Yeah. And you're
Yeah.
glowing. You don't look like someone that's like dragged down and scared and freaked out. You're
No,
glowing.
you know what though? I should have said this as a disclaimer before talking about anxiety. My work is actually, I feel like that's a form of escapism. Work has never stressed me out. Work has never given me that type of anxiety. If I'm too busy, I'm happy
Yeah.
because that means that gives me a type of security. Really, where the anxiety kicks in is, when you're starting the new business, when you're building the website, when I'm reaching out to all these narrators. And you know what? Side note, every single person, every single narrator I reached out to, we now have like 100 and some on the Talent Legion.
Yeah, you say production company and we're there.
Yeah, everyone said yes. And that was
Yes.
the biggest ego boost. Oh my gosh, my head could barely fit through the door for days when all
Well,
that was happening.
also, it's a really unique take. You've worded it well. You've branded it brilliantly. It's stylish. It's
Yeah.
really unique. It's like you're kind of proud to have your picture on your website because it's really well done.
Thank you. Thank you. I am really proud of this one. This one turned out the best out of everything I've done, I feel like. And the fact that it's just beginning, there's so much potential with that, with the theme. And I was trying to think of like, because sometimes I lean in a little too hard into themes. Like, take me to a themed party and I'll go all out.
You know, I love it. I
But
love
with
it.
the empire and the castle and everything, and I don't even remember what the things on the website say now, but everything is like, like, oh, I couldn't just call it a talent roster, right? No, that's too regular. I had to call it a talent legion. Join the
Yeah,
legion of narrators.
that's what makes it great. Talk about your audience because we're storytellers.
There was one time when I was trying to write some of the copy for the homepage, and I was adding all these cometh and hasten thee and just all this stuff, and my friend was like, that might be a little too much.
Like a Disneyland ride.
I was so into it. So the building of it was so exciting, and that was just, like you're saying, thrilling. You're at the top of the roller coaster.
Yeah.
And then once you start the descent, once I actually unveiled the website and opened the doors for clients, that's when the anxiety kicked in, because it was just like crickets. You know what I mean? And not in a bad way. It's just like everything had been such a rush for me up to that point because I was the only one doing it. It was just me working on it at that point. And then waiting for the clients, waiting to hear back from narrators, waiting, just that's when the anxiety, like I built this thing. I think it's great. Now I'm putting it out there for everyone to see. That is nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Exciting too, huh?
Yeah, it is. So
And your first book?
What?
Your first book?
Yes. We just, I just uploaded it today. We're headed to retail. I'm really excited about it. It's a erotica.
It's gorgeous.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I wish I could take responsibility for that cover, but that wasn't me. But yeah, this author, Terry Maggart, he's a good friend of mine, and he has blended horror and erotica in this anthology. 5 stories, 5 narrators. So my first project, I've never done this before, remember that. So, and my first project, I was dealing with 5 narrators. Thank goodness they're all amazing and consummate professionals, and they knew what they were doing, even when I didn't. But it's like, no, I couldn't just have a regular book with 1 narrator as my,
So did you send
initial.
auditions out, or did you pick the narrators from the
We
site?
had a casting call. There were a
I
lot of.
missed it. I need to
Oh,
make sure
yeah.
I'm on your newsletter.
Okay, yeah, I'll check. And there's also, well, you're in the Facebook group too, right?
Yeah, but Facebook.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you send do you send emails out, or is it just Facebook? Okay.
Yeah, it's both.
Question. We've got a question from someone. I like to kind of interrupt quickly when there's a question because once they comment more, I lose the thread. But I don't understand the question. Kendra wants to know, love your audiobook empire branding. When will you have Mercy so we can represent? Kendra, what does that mean?
Is
That
that
was
Kendra Murray?
that was yes. Hi.
Hey.
Hi. That was autocorrect fail. That's
Oh.
merch.
When we have
Oh,
what?
merch, like merchandise.
Oh,
Merchandise.
merchandiser. Oh,
Yes.
merchandise. Thank you, Kendra.
I have actually been thinking about that. That was one of those things when I was building the website where I got like a little bit ahead of myself. I was like, okay, I don't even know if anybody's going to like this yet. I can't start trying to sell people t-shirts. We actually do have a page though on the website. I believe it's called Support the Empire. It's underneath one of the drop down thingies. That has some stuff from Redbubble. I am hoping as things build to be able to move away from Redbubble, and I don't know, just like order a bunch of stuff from somewhere and like keep it in my bathroom or rent a storage space. I don't know what I'll do with it. And then just be able to distribute it like that, because that'll, you know, be more cost effective and cut out the middleman a little bit. But and I think I designed the logo and all of that, so I'm glad you like it and want to wear it.
It's gorgeous. Anna wants to know, when can we audition? So you're starting to get books in now, so we'll start to see emails.
Yes.
So the important thing is, is your roster still open, or is it full now?
It's not right now, just because I don't have anything lined up right now. So
It's new. You're new.
Yes.
Yeah.
And here's the deal with that. I had to make the very tough decision to close down the Narrator application page because like I said, this just completely like exploded and got so much bigger faster, you know, before I was really prepared for it. Again, one person here running this thing. I really need help, by the way. So if any of you guys have recommendations for like personal assistants or anything like that, please send them to me before I have a breakdown.
You hear that, guys? If anybody knows a good personal assistant.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And I really would love to get a recommendation from you all, because you're like specifically in the audiobook community, and I'm looking for someone to work with who knows this industry specifically really well, not just books in total. But anyway, yeah, so every morning after I started sorry, let me back up. What happened was I started reaching out to people like you, Daniela, people I had worked with before in a promotional capacity. I can't remember who was the first person I reached out to, but you were pretty early on, I feel like.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you.
Because didn't I reach out to you via ACX messaging, I think?
Yeah.
So you were one of the first, like in the first batch. I was like, okay, I'll just send out some feelers, see how people respond. And like I said, everybody said yes. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's great. So I reached out to maybe 30 people in total, maybe a little more. I'm not sure. It was kind of a blur of like excitement and nerves. But then word started spreading, because I was getting people signed up that I didn't directly reach out to. Like I think Kendra, weren't you one of those? I'm not sure how you found out, because I didn't directly reach out to you, I don't think, because I was like trying to do it slowly and in stages.
When you think of narrators, just think of this like big mass, like bees or ants, I think is more appropriate, of like billions of us. And if you say something to one of us in 2 days, all billion will be contacting you.
See, I didn't know that. And I was making up. I remember the first morning this happened, I woke up to check my email, and normally I'd have about 10 emails, you know, just daily. Oh my gosh, I had 50 some in my inbox. And these were all applications that I have to go through and vet people and listen to samples and get, you know, bio photos and demos and just all this stuff and put them on the website. And like the website wasn't even completed at that point. I was a little bit embarrassed, because I like to take my time with things so that I make sure they're done correctly. So I've got like this half-built website, and oh my gosh, you guys, I don't know how many of you are in this one particular Facebook group for narrators and saw this, I won't call it drama. It was a misunderstanding.
This is the good bit, guys. This is the bit where the guest contacts me the next day and goes, remember that bit where I said this? Could we edit that out? Go ahead, Dish.
It's not even a secret because it happened like publicly.
What happened?
So there's this Facebook group that a couple of narrators had told me, like, you need to be in this group, but like be careful because people are really passionate in it, and like you're not a narrator, so technically you shouldn't be in it. And I was like, it's okay, I'll just lurk, because that's what I do anyway. I just want to read and like learn more about the process because I've never been in a narrator's shoes, and I just want to see, like behind the scenes what goes on and how to best help you all, from my role. And anyway, I was in this Facebook group, and I had sworn to the person who let me in that I wouldn't post. I wouldn't get involved in, I don't know, whatever goes on, just lurking. And one of the narrators, yeah, she was a narrator. One of the narrators that I had reached out to, this was at the point where I was starting to reach out to people that were referred to me that I didn't know personally and had never worked with personally. But like if you said, oh, you should reach out to so-and-so, I'd be like, hi, so-and-so. Daniela said that I should reach out to you. And one of these people had received my email and gone to the Audiobook Empire website, saw that it was like not complete yet, thought that I was like a scam person, and then posted in this Facebook group like, hey, has anybody heard of this? I just got this weird email from this, I think she said this guy named Jess.
Yeah, because I've seen that with people. I had a writer do that. I'd sent a cold contact to them, and they went on the big group and said, I just got this scam. Is this normal? It's like, yes, thousands of narrators do it. Yeah, but I think it's the nature of social media these days. People feel that they have to double check things. And
I wasn't aware at that time. I am now.
Yeah.
But I wasn't aware then, like, how pervasive, like, your community is with, you know what I mean? Like, how careful you guys have to be.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at that time. Now
oh, you poor thing. And you were on there getting all offended, and you promised you wouldn't say anything.
not necessarily offended, but like,
but you would be.
Because
anyone would be, though. If it's natural that the person asked. It's something a lot of people do, and you wouldn't be a human being if you weren't cringing right then.
Cringing, yes, that's more. Like, I was mortified.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I understood. I was mortified. Like, I was embarrassed that I had been so careless as to give this person that impression. So I was about to respond or just like message them privately and be like, hey, I'm so sorry if I gave you the wrong idea. But then when I looked at the comments underneath that, the first few comments on that post were like, oh yeah, that must be a scam, beware. And then somebody else was like, okay, I'll be on the lookout for Audiobook Empire. I'll be sure to avoid them. And I saw that and I went, oh my gosh. Like,
it's your new business and now you're getting a name.
I felt like I was just like watching the deterioration of something that I had just built before it had even gotten going.
But that's a lesson for us. That's a lesson for us because that happens on social media so many times. And it happens for businesses and it happens for people, and it starts out innocently, but we get caught up in a pendulum. And I see people get carried away and say things and agree to things they might never say. Like if they were at a dinner table with a glass of wine chatting with you, they wouldn't be doing that. But nobody knows where they fit in the hierarchy. And everyone wants to have a voice, and some people aren't as good at the voice. So how did you deal with it? Did you say something, or you had to have said something?
That was like the peak of anxiety. That I took a breath because I was shaking, like I was almost crying, just completely overreacting probably. But I took a deep breath and composed this like completely diplomatic, calm response. Like, again, starting out, "Hi there, I'm Jess. I'm the one that contacted you."
I'm not a scam artist.
Yeah.
I like
I'm
long
sorry
walks
if I
on the
gave you
beach.
that impression. We are a legit company. The website isn't built yet. And I even tagged a few people because I knew that some of the that's a huge group. And I've worked with a lot of the narrators in that group. So I tagged some of them. I'm like, look, these are some people that know me. They will vouch for me. And thank goodness they did. One of them was Steve Campbell, maybe Trisha Santamasso, just whoever like popped into my head right away. And they did. They were like, yeah, this is Jess. We've known her for a while. She's legit. And then the original poster was so apologetic and everything. But I completely understand, because now that I've been on ACX in this role and I see all the scam listings, and like, I won't say I'm a paranoid person, but I am cautious. So I completely understand and don't blame that person at all. It was just a misunderstanding.
Yeah, and it's a social media world, because we forget, and we're on social media so much, the nature of our jobs, and also the nature of the last year, and it's become a little bit like big in our lives. I don't, maybe it's just me, but so when something like that happens, it feels like an attack. It feels like your livelihood is being threatened. Whereas if we weren't in this social media world, you'd be like, a couple of people online are whinging about something they don't understand. I'll just set them straight. But it becomes real. I've had friends that have personally gotten on the wrong end of that, and they've had their characters assassinated.
Yeah.
Wrong place, wrong time.
That's kind of the downside of having such a tight-knit community, because you have that hive mind. Where you have a couple of loud voices, and then people don't want to dissent, so they kind of fall in behind. I mean, that happens in every community. That's just
I've never been one of the hive, unfortunately.
Think about like, think about some people maybe with a little bit of a different personality, or somebody who's new to the community. I can see that. Maybe, I don't know, I try to be a really empathic person and just like super understanding, so I can kind of see.
You handled it really well. You handled it professionally. It stopped it, and you didn't get into drama. That was excellent.
Thank you. Yeah, so reputation is super important to me. Maybe it's because I'm a Capricorn. I don't know. But yeah, when I saw that, and the first thing that popped in my mind was, oh my gosh, like, I've got to do something about this, because if your company's reputation, or even if like your personal reputation is gone, to me, like, that's just, you know what I mean? Like, your reputation is so important. That's, to me, the thing that you should want to preserve the most. And that's why
I agree with you. I have to say, I'm starting to call the terms on my reputation.
Oh, really?
Because you do have to be careful, in my opinion, and I'm only now growing into this, to always ask yourself, does it matter? Like, am I doing what I think deep down is the right thing? Does it matter what everyone else thinks of me? Because they could all decide that I'm a horrible human being, but if I'm doing something guided by my inner, you know what I mean, wisdom. So I think I want to be able to be proud of everything I've done, and if I have a good reputation for that, but don't let yourself be, it's hard because you own a business and your name's behind the business. My name is my business.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you own a business, you still call the shots, and it's still your choice. And if you do something that people might not agree with, because the more money you make and the more high profile your business is, people are going to try to kind of take you down a notch.
Yeah, that's true.
And
a friend of mine said that when you get your first bad review, that's how you know you've made it.
oh yeah, when you get hundreds of them, you become like us. You stop reading them.
I have only had one negative review out of hundreds. I'm very proud of that. But honestly, I kind of like when I took it with a grain of salt, because when I evaluated the content of the review, it was fair. It wasn't inflammatory. It wasn't it wasn't a personal attack or anything like that. But they were dissatisfied with things that were beyond my control. Things that third parties, because when you work with bloggers and volunteers, like, I can't control them. I can try to manage the situation. It's a bit like herding cats, but yeah, but I'm always confident that everything that comes from me, the preparation, the communication, all of that, everything that's within my realm of control.
Yeah. You do the best job you can, and your new assistant when you get it. Are you still working? Okay, so are you still doing Audiobook Worm as well, or have you had to do less of that?
Yeah, no,
Because that's massive. That's the biggest promo there is, isn't it? I mean, it's massive.
Yeah, I'm still doing everything. I can't let anything go. That's sort of what what I was hinting at the other day with you. But no, I'm just trying to do it all because I'm stubborn like that. And this is my baby. I don't want to let somebody else raise my baby, Like,
what's the third business? You mentioned 3 businesses.
Oh, okay. So maybe like 2.5. The third one is an extension of Audiobook Worm Promotions. It's called Audiobook Worm Reviews.
Yeah.
I actually replaced, I used to have this program at Audiobook Worm Promotions called the Adopt an Audiobook Program, which was sort of like you could place your promo codes for adoption, and any audiobook listener could come and request one. And it was just supposed to streamline the review solicitation process for people like you, anyone with codes, authors, narrators, whatever, publishers too. But now that there have been so many code websites popping up here and there, that area kind of got a little bit oversaturated. So, and I did see the requests dwindling. So I was like, okay, it's not really worth my time and energy that I'm putting into this if the interest isn't there right now. So I deactivated that program and started Audiobook Worm Reviews, which is just like an extension of Audiobook Worm Promotions. And I have a review team there of 22. Yeah, I think it's now
brilliant.
22 reviewers on the review team. I handpicked these people.
All genres?
All genres. Mm-hmm.
And do certain ones prefer certain genres?
Yeah, but I make sure that we have a good, that's why it was really only supposed to be about 12 reviewers, but I wanted to make sure that all genres and age groups were represented. So, we just keep adding a few people here and there. We have people that just prefer romance, people who just prefer horror, but everything is represented.
Jess, what would you suggest we do more of, less of, differently in our own promo?
I would suggest that you do less of selling yourself short and more of acting like an author. I touch on that a lot in my narrators, well, it used to be the narrators resource guide, but then authors started wanting it. So I rebranded it as the audiobook marketing guide. But when it was the narrators resource guide, I had this part in there about promo like an author, market like an author, because I feel like, especially if you're involved in a royalty share deal, you're just as much involved in that as the author is. You know what I mean? You're going to be expected to pull your own weight. So everything the author is doing to promote that book, you should also be doing. And I feel like narrators, I mean, you probably didn't get into narration to market. You probably didn't think about, I'm going to have to promote one day. You probably weren't prepared for that, right?
Yeah, but you're going to have to suck it up and do it.
Yeah, you find yourself in that situation. Whereas an author, I'm not saying every author knows that they're going to have to do X, Y, Z in addition to writing, but authors are because they're already marketing their books. So marketing their audiobooks is just like a different take on that, but it's pretty much the same thing. They'll probably do the same things.
Because do you know the ones I see so many times, and it breaks my heart, the ones that write the book and they honestly thought that like the floodgates were going to open and here's the book and everyone was going to find it, and they didn't understand that that's just the beginning of the journey. And it's so, and you try to explain it to them, but some of them, they're literally heartbroken. They just give up.
Oh, sweet summer child.
Yeah.
That's why I have a job.
You do know that I'm memorizing your accent.
Oh yeah, this is Eastern North Carolina, by the way, and I'm putting a lid on it for you. So if you want the real thing,
there are 15
we'll
of
have
us.
a private session after this.
You're gonna have like 15 audiobooks coming out in about a month and a half time with your exact accent.
I would love it. I spent so long being like ashamed of my accent when I was growing up because I felt like other people would think I was a hick or something. That's why whenever I'm talking in even a semi-professional setting like this, I try to tighten my jaw a little bit. Like my cheeks are hurting right now from the tension of like keeping my mouth.
Oh no, keep it real, because we like collect accents is what we do. We steal, pilfer anytime we can. Every new accent we get is more money at the end of the day.
I didn't help him with an accent, but I've helped Steve Campbell. I've been in a couple of his Discord sessions. He films himself or streams while he records, which I think is really cool. Just like the promotional opportunities that we could do with that. I can't wait. But I've been in there, and he was recording a book that was set in the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina. It's like the western part of my state. And there was something in it, I don't remember what, but there was something in there that he needed help with. Maybe it was like a town name or something. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad I'm in here, like in the stream right now. And I was able to help him out with that.
Yeah, town names are the hardest. They're the hardest to, the trick PJ Auckland, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, on the APA webinar taught us a trick that you can, when you're on YouTube, you can open the transcript on most videos. Mm-hmm. And then you can search for whatever the word is. You don't, because I was doing a book on Catholic saints, 365 of them. And every single one of them had a really unique, interesting name and a very big family with each individual unique, interesting names. Open transcript, you can easily find, rather than listening to all the music, and the whole video. And it's a lifesaver, but places are very difficult to pronounce. Yeah. And if you ruin it, I listened to a book, I lived in Seattle, and there's Yakima, and I listened to a book where the guy said Yakima the entire book, and I'm telling you, and with my luck, the person that did the book is on this call.
I have a story like that too. I won't say it because he's very famous. He's a famous narrator. But I was listening to a book just in my off time. This was like a few months ago. Just for my own personal pleasure, not like for a review or anything. But I was listening to a book, and this guy kept mispronouncing this historical figure's name, and it's like a really well-known historical figure that I feel like you should have known.
That's like our worst nightmare, narrators.
It wasn't just one time. That name kept popping up and over and over and over again. And I try to be understanding. I try to be patient. It almost, and this is just like my quirk, it almost ruined the book for me. So that was,
the Yakima one ruined it. Okay, but one of my first books had a place in, I think, California or someplace, I don't know where it was, called Margaretville. And the entire book, I said Margaritaville. Luckily, I had a really good proofer. In retrospect, when I told the author about it, he didn't laugh as much as I thought he might. right? But luckily I was saved. But it's a nightmare. You worry because proofing might not necessarily pull up a place name if the person doesn't live there. You have to be
Yeah, names are tough. And that after I heard that after I had that experience, that's when I went into our Talent Legion Facebook group and I said, you guys, if you ever need like help with research or pronunciation or anything like that, just let me know. Like, I don't even care if it's not one of my books, like Through the Empire. I'll help you. I'm a great researcher. Ask Steve Campbell. I helped him look up, Yingling beer. Have you
I've
ever
never heard of it.
Yingling? Nobody's ever heard of Yingling? Maybe it's a region. Oh my gosh, I just remembered. It wasn't a town name. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. It was Cheerwine. It was a type of soda that was founded or like started in North Carolina. Apparently it's regional. And he had never heard of Cheerwine, so I had to like say, yes, you're saying it right. And then Yingling was another one. It's like a type of beer, and I don't even like beer. I don't know why I know how to pronounce Yingling. I guess I just watch a lot of TV and have seen the commercials.
Yeah, but you obviously live someplace where there would be a commercial. Like I wouldn't have a clue. I know how to pronounce gun names and cop names and every murder forensic term on earth, but
See, I haven't traveled extensively, so I really don't know what is regional to like my area of North Carolina and what's not. Like, oh, what do you mean you don't have cookout fast food restaurants everywhere? How do you live without that?
So have you ever attempted to narrate yourself? Have you ever been tempted?
No. Unequivocally, no.
But do you still listen to audiobooks though, as much as you used to, even though it's become a business for you?
Not as much. No, I just don't have the time. I had to quit taking review requests too, because if I'm listening to something on my own time and it's just for me, then I can put it down for a month while I'm busy and not feel guilty. But if I know somebody's waiting on that deadline, I would feel really bad. So
The thing I love about you, though, the idea that you are taking narrators on and you're soon going to be getting them work, is that a lot of narrators have done that, and it's brilliant because they're one of us, so they know what it's like. But it's nice that you know us in a different way. So I think it's probably safe to say that you've dealt with the ego, the artist ego. I'm not saying we're egotistical, but you know what I mean? The sensitivities that come along with the job. You can manage them well because you don't run a business like you have doing reviews without having to be very careful.
Yeah.
Find that fine line between honest and diplomatic.
That is so important because I don't ever want anyone to think that I'm, keeping it PG, a butt kisser. Did I say that? Or blowing smoke. I don't do that. That's just not in my nature. I try to be very transparent, personally, professionally, whatever. So it's really important. That's why the not tagline, but like the motto for Audiobook Worm Reviews is like honest, high quality, insightful reviews. And honest is the first thing up there because to me that's the most important thing. And if it happens to not be flattering, then I'll contact you and let you, I'll say, hey, this was the review that was submitted. What do you want me to do with this? And some people see that as censorship. I get that a lot from some of the bloggers and reviewers. Not a lot, but I get it from them. I've never heard anything like that from an author or a narrator because you guys you're professionals. You understand that this is a service. This is your reputation. It's your book's reputation. It's important. You don't want just, you know what I mean? You want to try to.
Some are just mean. I mean, I have somebody check my reviews for me and I check their reviews once a month. So I never see my own reviews. I just don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
But if there's something that I need to address, oh my God, this woman's developed a disgusting lisp and it comes up like 50 people every month and I want to know about it.
Yeah.
But I know in the beginning when I first started and I read my reviews, you'll have one review, right? Oh my God, the best narrator in the world. This woman saved my life. And then down next to it is, this woman should never be allowed to speak out loud again in her life. Somebody needs to like wire her mouth shut or something. Was like,
Yeah.
you have to, and there was one woman that would like, every time I had a book come out, she'd leave a review like 2 minutes later, like a really mean personal one. Like, how did you listen to a 10-hour book
Yeah,
in
that should be
but
reported.
now I don't think they can do that. I think they have to listen to a good portion before they're allowed to leave a review, which is, to me, much fairer.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And again, like you're towing the line between honesty and transparency, and then like censorship, and so especially going back and forth between like authors and narrators and bloggers or reviewers like I do, I have to make both sides happy. So honesty is important, but at the same time, fairness is important too, and not being cruel. You'll never see a cruel review on the audiobook worm reviews, because I read all of them before they go up there. I have had a couple of complaints. Some authors thought that this was unfair. I evaluated it. I had somebody else evaluate it as a second opinion. I thought it was fair. It was critical, maybe a little unflattering, but fair. It wasn't unnecessarily cruel. You know what I mean? Like you get
Yeah.
what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. But that's a really fine balance. And I think
Yeah.
that's going to serve you well in Audiobook Empire, because you're going to have managing between all those people is going to, I think, serve you well in this job.
Yeah, that's exactly what I kept telling myself when I was thinking, like, am I crazy for starting this new endeavor? But then I kept telling myself, it's not that different from what I've been doing for the last 4 years.
You've been doing it.
Between two parties, trying to make everyone happy, coming up with creative solutions to, that fit both sides' needs. I think that narrators, as far as like herding cats go, I think narrators would be a little bit easier, because you guys are, you're professionals, you know what I mean, rather than volunteers. So there's a level of commitment there that, acts as a backbone to the process. So I know I've only done one audiobook, but that's been very much appreciated by me, the person being stuck in the middle here. Just you guys, what you do, oh my gosh, your commitment to the quality and just the craft, because it's an art.
But
But going back to what you were asking about, if I would ever consider narration, no, because like I know where my talents lie, and that is not one of them. I was not blessed with that ability. So I am just in awe of those who were. You know what I mean? So that's just, I guess that's why I'm so appreciative of just really anything that's done well. You could be pouring cement or bird watching or doing, anything. If you're good at it, like I just appreciate anyone who's good at what they do,
Yeah. No, that's good. It's so you mentioned, I need to oh gosh, we're out of time and it's gone so fast. We never even got to the work-life balance. We were so busy talking about the work, which I'm suspecting might be because we're both workaholics. Can you please, for the YouTube audience that's going to be seeing this in 30 years, any last words of wisdom? What would you like to leave people with?
Just
About
in general.
Anything. Work-life balance, promo.
Work-life balance. This is, and I am by no means an expert here. This is a really tough lesson that I'm still learning and will be learning every day for the rest of my life, I'm sure. But just this year, I'm really learning to be kind to myself and lean into things. Just if my body says, I don't think you should get out of bed today, don't get out of bed today. And then if you can, do that. I'm in a spot being my own boss and all that where I can, if I'm not feeling great one day, I can stay in bed and then work the next day. And I've learned that sort of balance, like take one day off, one day on, one day off, one day on, that's working for me right now. It might not always work for me, but that's what I found is working for me. So find what works for you. Be very generous with yourself, just like you would be with anyone else. You know, why are we always harder on ourselves than other people? Anyway, that's just, yeah, don't be so hard on yourself. That's my advice.
And the thought of doing it myself makes me cringe and like freak out. But the fact that you say you take one day off and one day on, it made me, after you said that, I thought in this whole coronavirus thing, all bets are off. Nobody has normal schedules anymore. Maybe we should be experimenting with like, you know, intermittent fasting. Maybe I don't want to eat it would be ridiculous for me to eat breakfast. I don't wake up till I'm up till 3 a.m.
I'm the same way. I try really hard to listen to my body, because I'm such a headstrong and like mentally motivated person. My mind tends to drive what my body does, you know, when I eat, when I work, whatever. And that's opposite, I feel I'm learning. Because like I have an autoimmune disorder, so my mind is not, my body is in control. And that was a really hard lesson to learn, that my body's in the driver's seat. And you just
That is a hard one. My body unfriended me on Facebook a long time ago, and we hate each other. Really, we do. If my body had its way, it would just sleep all the time.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit. And see, like I work with, again, I have a psych degree, so I'm like very pro therapy, pro counseling. I'll share with you a little tidbit that my therapist has told me. It's not your mind versus your body. You two are on the same team. So you need to treat your body like a teammate, not like it's betraying you whenever it says, I need more sleep. And your mind is saying, no, I need to work. You know,
Yeah. Okay. I'll unblock him on Facebook. One more chance.
That's really hard thing for me to wrap my head around, but I'm working at it.
Yeah, it's not an easy battle.
Yeah.
Especially if you're an analytical person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the one day on, one day off thing. I'm sorry, we're way past time, aren't we?
No. Everyone goes a little bit over. People just start to drop off. So
I didn't just come up with that out of nowhere. That's what my body told me I needed, because I was noticing that I'd have all this energy one day and be able to get a ton of work done. And then the next day I would just be, gosh, what is it the Brits say, knackered? I think.
Yep. Knackered. That's what happens to me. I overdo and then I crash. And then I beat myself up about crashing. If I stopped beating myself up, I'd probably get more done.
Lean into it. So I was like, what would happen if I just kind of let it happen the way it wants to happen? And I would work, and then the next day I would rest, and then I would have more energy the next day to work. And that's how I fell into that pattern.
I love that idea. You see every narrator on here cringing. Rest. I've got a deadline.
I know, it was tough. I've been doing this ever since January, and it's taken me 2 months to really get comfortable with the idea.
But it's obviously working for you, because you're still getting a tremendous amount done. You're running all these companies.
Yeah, I'm doing 2 days, because my schedule itself, you know, I don't just have work to do every other day. No, I'm only working every other day. I'm doing 2 days worth of work in one day, because I rested the day before and I have a lot of energy the next day, and I'm able to do double the work.
It's an interesting concept. Think about it.
I don't have any data to back it up. There's no research. Somebody wants to come poke and prod my brain, you're welcome to. But
no, it's an interesting concept. I still haven't even successfully taken one day off a week. And that was my goal in the beginning of last year. So.
I started with weekends off, because that seems reasonable to me. Most people do take weekends off, right? And it was really tough. I had to force myself. I would pretty much have to like tape myself to my recliner, turn off the notifications on my phone and computer, because if I hear that little email chime, I'm not going to be able to think about anything else until I read the email. So yeah, it was a process.
I'm wondering what it would look like. Right now, my mind's thinking, what if I did like double the recording?
Hmm.
I bet I could get it done, like double the amount that I thought I could normally do in a day,
Yeah.
and just take a day off in between.
Right.
I'm wondering if it would work.
Yeah, try it. I mean, everything I try, it feels like I'm just throwing like deli meat at the wall, trying to see what sticks. You know, this is sticking right now. So
You're such an audiobook listener. That's such a visual. Jess, I thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight, and your insight's been amazing. You've got such a lovely, calm, and you've got serious style, girl. That website is gorgeous.
oh, I thought you were talking about my hair again.
Your hair is fabulous as well.
Oh,
But everything you've done, the audiobook worm, the audiobook empire, you've stamped style on it, and I appreciate style. I think the world needs more style.
thank you.
So yeah,
Thank you.
onwards and upwards. I can't wait to, we'll have you back when you're like a mad, crazy success, and you won't be taking every other day off anymore. You'll be like, I've got this monarchy.
And I'll probably be like, yeah, you remember everything I said last time? Erase all of that. I've completely changed my mind on everything. Like
I'm doing 6 businesses now. I'm sorry. Cup of Joe, what is that? Talk to my
I only work
assistant.
once a week now. I just work 24 hours straight once a week.
Thanks so much, Jess. Take care and have a wonderful night.
You
Bye,
too.
guys.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye. And they all love you, Jess, because I know you said you wouldn't be able to read that. They all love you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm not wearing my glasses. I can barely see.
Bye, guys. Bye, everyone. Take care. Bye, Jess.